Welcome back to another episode on the Couch Coverage. Today we're going to be talking about future bets. Today we have Kevin, Jarrell, Shane, and myself, Zach. Let's kick this off. We'll be doing quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers today. And then at the very end, we're going to all pick our favorite and we're going to create a couch coverage parlay. To start this one off, I have Drake May for over or under 19.5 passing tutties. All right. Clearly, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to smash the over on this one. 20 touchdowns is nothing. 20 touchdowns is 1.18 touchdowns a game. That means he doesn't even have to throw for 2 tutties a game. In his rookie season, he had 15 touchdowns with 13 out of 17 games. That's only 13 games. He still had 4 more to go. He didn't start the season because Jacoby Brissett was in there. If he was to play all 17 games, he was actually on pace to beat this with 20. Now, he was also on pace to have 400 passing attempts. The average quarterback to throw for 400 passing attempts usually throws for 25 to 30 touchdowns. With that also being said, the Patriots and him himself have the second easiest schedule in the NFL. These include the Panthers, the Bills twice, Raiders, Titans, Browns, Falcons, Bengals, Bucks, and Ravens. 10 out of those 17 games, all those teams last year were the bottom 15 of giving up passing touchdowns. The Patriots went ahead and they added some weapons like Stephon Diggs, Mac Hollins, re-signed Austin Hooper, rookies like Trevion Henderson and Kyle Williams. They even buffed up their O-line by drafting Will Campbell with their 5th overall pick, which was desperately needed as they gave up 52 sacks last season. The good thing about Trevion Henderson, the running back they actually picked up, is not only is he a receiving back, he's actually a good pass blocker. He was probably one of the most rated ones out of all the rookie running backs last season. And to top it off, the Patriots went ahead and traded away his only competition in Joe Milton to the Cowboys. Who they signed was Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs is obviously a backup. He will only come in if there's an injury or if the sophomore quarterback is throwing too many interceptions, something like that, which I don't see with the second easiest schedule. I'm smashing the over on this one. I feel like this is way too of a line, especially with a quarterback that had 15 and 13 games. I feel like when he plays a full 17, he can smash 20. Does anybody disagree with this?
No, I'd say I would. Yeah, he's definitely got the potential to do it. It is a good possibility. I'd probably say in bet terms, it is definitely the safer option to take. Excuse me, but I like the under. I just don't see with the completion percentage that he had last season, 66.6. That said, 10 interceptions. I just don't see him improving much, especially with the new coach. Because isn't it Mayo's first season there?
Yeah, Mayo was last year.
Yeah.
He got fired, and now they actually have Mike Vrabel, the
Vrabel,
head
that's
coach
right.
for the
That's right. That's
Titans.
right. My
And I think
mistake
he
there
played for
on the
the
name.
Patriots back in the day, I want to say.
Yeah. So new coach, rebuilding. You don't know what the offense is going to come in and do. I see him maybe finishing just under at like 19, but I said definitely for like the safe bet, I would take the over. But I disagree. I think it will be under.
Okay. Having also mind his division is very weak with the Dolphins, Jets, and the Bills. Because even with the Bills being such a good team, they clearly need help with the defensive backs. They obviously are slacking there. Dolphins themselves, I mean, they have like 4 corners that are already injured in training camp. So I don't think that's already set on 6 games of easier division besides the Jets because they do have some good passing defense. So we'll say 4, but that's 4 games already that I feel like he can score. He can throw a lot of touchdowns. And again, he doesn't have to even throw 2 touchdowns a game. He can have games where he throws only 1. 2 touchdowns, I feel like, is a low bar nowadays, especially in
True.
17 games.
Yeah, but don't you
Yeah,
think
that is
a
good.
second coach in a row, like 2 different offenses? Last year he ran one offense. This year he's going to be running a different offense. Yeah, he's not the most talented quarterback in the league anyway. So there, do you think he
Yeah,
could have trouble picking up the new system?
yeah. I was going to talk about that a little bit too because I sort of go against what Zach's saying. I think they're going to struggle divisionally. Even though Miami is struggling with some injuries on cornerback, they probably have one of the best front seven defense. All those guys are healthy from last year. You got Chubbs, you got all those guys, Jalen Phillips. I think as a young quarterback, where a team is going to have a big pass rush, and the Bills, obviously, defense wise, they're going to put a lot of pressure on them. Betting wise, I would lean to the over on this. I mean, it's only 19 and a half. It's doable. But I think going along with that, they do have a new offense. So rookie quarterbacks traditionally struggle uh, trying to pick up a new offense. So we don't know. It's a steep learning curve. The receiving court, besides Stephen Diggs, is not really that good. So I don't think he has a lot of weapons there. I think he's a good quarterback, but I would I would lean for the over, but I think there is enough reasons to be worried about it. Because I think they are going to struggle. I think some people think they're going to do better. Like I do, I know I am a Dolphin fan, but I do not see the Patriots being better than the Dolphins. They're still third place in that division at best. I think they're scheduled, maybe, good for them, but yeah, I think it's a tough bet because I think what you guys said, I would say both ways. You can argue either way.
Yep, I agree. Miami, I think is better than Patriots, but still, I think I'll take the over on that. That's a pretty easy stat line to cover, And he has
Yeah.
a
8.5.
beefed up O line and everything. O line was bad last year. This year is going to be a little bit better. He'll have more time to throw. So,
Well,
yeah.
100%.
and the one thing too is that I would lean that way is I think they're going to be behind in a lot of games. So what does that mean? You got to pass more. So I think he's going to have more opportunities as long as he stays healthy or something like that, to throw more. Because I don't think it's a team set up to be in the lead. They're not one of these playoff teams that are going to grind it out. I think he's going to get some wins by coming back, in my opinion.
I do agree. I maybe disagree a little bit on saying they might not get a decent amount of wins, only because their schedule is very weak, in my opinion. But I do think a lot of these games for these W's are going to have to be earned. Like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of games where the Patriots are far ahead. You know what I mean? So even if they're battling it out or if they're behind, no matter what, they're going to be passing the ball. And like I said, last year alone, with not even playing, he had like 300, not even playing all the entire season, he had like 338 passing attempts or something like that. He was on pace for 400 passing attempts. The average quarterback gets 25 to 30. I'm not saying he would have got 25 to 30 because he was actually on pace for only 20, so it was a little lower. But it's known for rookie quarterbacks going into their sophomore season. Usually their touchdowns go up and their interceptions go lower, depending on how good the O line is. And I think that Mike Vrabel and Robert Kraft did enough to be able to get enough weapons and even rebuff that O line to be able to do enough to get over 20 touchdowns. All
Okay.
right, we'll move on. We'll go ahead into the next quarterback here. We are going to go over to Shane. Kick it off for us, Shane.
Yeah, I mean when I take a look at the guys that I was really looking at, Cam Ward is my quarterback that I want to take a look at, and the over under is 3,205 yards. Um, uh, it is, this is a tough one because I do think he's, originally I think it's an under normally when you take a look at this, but that's when he was competing for the job, too. And we don't know at that point if Will Levis would have came in and started some games before Cam Ward. It would have been a competition technically, even though I think Cam Ward is the pick. Now that he's pretty much the starter, I think you can argue a little bit better on that. There's no competition, um, but they do have a run heavy scheme. They do have some talent though with Hopkins and really and all those guys. So it is an underpick normally, but I think Cam Ward is. I think I really sort of feel like he's going to have a good season, and it'd be interesting. I want to pick over, but I think the betting on me would say under on this one.
So you think he'll go under 3,205?
I feel like he'll get more than that. I honestly feel, but if you're looking at the over under on betting wise, it's tough because they've invested in the running backs. Brian Callahan, he's going to be a run first ball control offense with a rookie quarterback. You can see him doing well with that kind of setup, but I'm afraid they may not let him throw as much as I would like him to because they want to try to ease him in there. So that's my concern.
Yeah, especially with Pollard and both Tyjae Spears having decent seasons last year. Like, I don't think Pollard has still gone under 1,000 in like the last 3 seasons or something like that. And then Tyjae Spears in that second half, he was looking pretty good. So I do see maybe a lot of running from the Titans, unless they're down. Because I do predict the Titans to be a bottom tier team, but for Cam Ward to do good.
They do have a pretty easy schedule. It's not the hardest in the world, So I think he'll do pretty good. But I would still take the under, though. Yeah, I agree with Shane there.
Yeah. He did throw a dime the other day. Did you guys see that one pass that he did in training camp where he threw it between two players and it was like a perfect pass?
Nah,
yeah. Now, I mean, being a Hurricane fan and watching him all last year, I mean, I have a feeling he's going to do really good because he just, I mean, he came over too. It's not like he was a 4-year Hurricane, but he does have that ability to put the ball where it needs to be, and he's a tough quarterback. And with that option, I think he's probably one of the few rookies that I feel like he can do good right out of the bat. So he's in a good system for him.
Yeah, and he's definitely a thorough first quarterback. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, I would pick the under easily, just based on the straight fact that the Titans are a garbage team. They've been a garbage team for a while. They haven't been able to perform. I mean, look at their wide receivers are Ridley, Lockett, and Van Jefferson. I mean, it's not like you're going out there with much of a deep threat or consistently being a deep threat. And they're just not a good team, man. So I don't see them being able to go out and do much. Ward, fantastic quarterback. I agree he has a chance to do good, but I don't think he's going to come in the league and be like, Daniels or CJ Stroud or anything like that and kind of impress on this season. Not because of him, but because of the team he's on, I feel.
Yeah, you can't forget that he was the number 1 pick in the draft for a reason. Yeah. The team,
right.
They didn't do well enough to get anything, I guess they did bad enough to get a good pick, but, that's, you're right.
Yeah, and even unfortunately, what is it? I'm going to pass it to you because I can't remember that. Like a victim of his successes, kind of like that situation, to where he did so well to get picked first, but unfortunately, a really crappy team who overall does crappy for a majority of their seasons was able to get him, and I think that's going to hinder him, unfortunately.
True.
Yeah, originally when we were going over these and we were all picking our own lines, I actually had picked the touchdowns for him. I hadn't submitted it yet because I wasn't sure. And honestly, I probably changed my mind a little bit. I think it's just a little bit too risky to take his line just because of how bad the Titans are. And like you guys said, they don't really have too crazy weapons. Like they have Calvin Ridley and stuff, and he is good. It's a good player, but is it enough for Cam Ward to be able to throw for that many passing yards? But Kevin's right, 8th easiest schedule. I think the line's low. And even last year, the Titans threw not one quarterback singular, but as a whole, they threw for 22 passing touchdowns. So I thought 18.5 was pretty low, but I don't know if I would take that because it's just a little too risky. And I'd probably say the same with the yards. I don't know if I would take the bet just because I don't know which one he would get.
Yeah. Plus Ridley, even though like Ridley is his main weapon, the dude's 30 years old. He's getting up there. So it's not like he is who he once was. Still a fantastic receiver, but he's not, you're not worrying about him as much as some of the younger guys.
True. Yeah, and they even lost Treylon Burks, who isn't like a major commodity, I would say. I mean, he's been kind of struggling. You know what I mean? Like he was supposed to be the guy to replace AJ Brown when they traded him, and he's definitely have not filled in those shoes. But it still sucks to see because obviously he liked them and he built up a small relationship with them. So they're already losing people when the season hasn't even started.
Yeah, I think one thing, and just before we move on, I think when you talk about fantasy football, that Cam Ward helps some of the other players on that team. Like I can see Ridley doing better with Cam Ward under there, but I don't think Cam Ward has enough weapons to really make him better. But I think he does benefit some of the other players, and that'll be interesting in another conversation about fantasy football. But
yeah, and he's already been struggling. He did have that good pass in training camp, but ever since then, when they put the pads on, he's been struggling a little bit. And he's actually came out. Did you guys see that interview that he said? They asked him how good is their offense as a whole, and he said they were mid. He was like, "We're definitely mid right now." That's what he said, which I was like, wow. I mean, that's like brutally honest,
Do you
Where
think
earlier this season, where he was playing Fortnite, he was saying that Calvin Ridley was the best wide receiver, and Treylon Burks was at number 4. So he's like a little mismatch there.
Do you think they'll be like the Commanders this year then?
No.
They'll turn it around? No?
I see the Titans more like I see him more like maybe like Caleb Williams or kind of like what we talked about earlier,
All right,
Drake
yeah.
May.
No, yeah.
I
I see
I
it. I
honestly
see Caleb Williams more.
Yeah,
See that.
because I mean they're both first round picks. They're both on crappy teams. They're obviously rebuilding. Like I don't think the Titans are expecting because even again when they asked the coach and the GM earlier this season, in training camp, they were like, "Oh, how good is your team a Super Bowl team?" And they both kind of looked at each other like what a weird question for having a first year quarterback. They're obviously in rebuild mode.
Yeah.
I see him being like a 4 or 5 win team at the most.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that too. All right, we'll move it on as that one's getting a little long. We're going to go ahead and push it over to Jarrell. Go ahead.
All right, so for my quarterback, I actually went with Green Bay's old quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, for the over-under of his touchdowns at 23 and a half for the season. Obviously, new team, Pittsburgh Steelers, has the one-year deal. Got some, good receivers out there. It's definitely some capable. You got Metcalf, Austin, and Woods. I'd say it's definitely possible if he stays healthy all season. I know he's coming off the injury. Training camp looked like garbage so far. So that is obviously a main concern. Obviously, you see all the videos coming out of the misconnects. He's continuing to dump down. Certain receivers are getting kind of frustrated. Tight ends are getting frustrated because he's dumping down instead of waiting for those plays to develop and open up. Is that just what he's doing right now in training camp? Is it going to all come together during the season? He's a veteran. I do have faith in him. I'm going to say the over, betting on the fact that he's going to stay healthy all season.
I actually agree with you there. On the Jets, he did, for what the Jets are, he did pretty good, I see here he got 28 touchdowns.
I was surprised by that.
They have Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazar, right? We're having those two wide receivers. He did pretty good. And Pittsburgh has DK Metcalf, which is way better than them two, I think the over is pretty easy.
Didn't they also draft a tight end? I could be wrong, but I thought they drafted a tight end too, like one of the better tight ends.
I don't know.
Because Conklin just left and went to the Chargers, so I thought they drafted one.
Well, they have Fairmouth, Smith, Darnell Washington, and Connor Hayward. I don't know if either one of those last two. I can look real quick.
I was talking about the Jets.
Oh, the Jets. Sorry, we're talking about the Steelers.
Which has nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers now that I'm thinking
about it. That's what I was like, why are we going back to the Jets?
They traded for Jonnu Smith, though, so still a new addition. But yeah, I've been seeing the same stuff. Honestly, I do think it's because there's a lot of players on a new team. Like, you got to think, DK Metcalf, new team. Jonnu Smith, new team. Aaron Rodgers, new team. You know what I mean? Roman Wilson, another wide receiver on that team, he was a rookie last season. He got hurt in training camp last season, so he didn't even play. So I feel like all these players are still getting to know each other. And, I mean, just remember when Tom Brady went to the Bucs, that Super Bowl year when they won, they were looking pretty crap those first 5 or 6 games, I would say. Like, they were looking pretty mid, and then they got it together once they started figuring it out. So I think we got to give Rodgers a little bit of time. And he's just an old-style quarterback, so he does tend to throw a lot of touchdowns. So I could very well see wanting to take the over on this. All right, we'll go ahead and we will move it on then from there, from Aaron Rodgers. Shane, did you want to say anything last minute before we moved on?
No, I mean, I would sort of go along with you guys. I think it's make it short and sweet here. I think it's very doable, being based on the talent around him, what he can do. But I do think it's risky because of his age and the possibility of injury, even if it's smaller stuff, which could knock him out a few games or something. It is a risky one, but I think it's definitely doable with somebody with his talent.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
100%. No, I agree with you. All right, we will move on to our last quarterback of this session. Go ahead, Kevin. Tell us what the last one is.
I'm actually pretty surprised none of you guys picked him. A Baker Mayfield, actually. His line is pretty low. Actually, when I looked at it, his line was pretty low. For the whole year, 3,800 yards. For the stacked offense that the Bucs have. Like, the 2 years he's been in the Bucs, he hasn't thrown under 4,000. So I think that's a really low line. The over is more than the under, which is kind of surprising. But I think he has a pretty stacked team, 3,800 yards.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of people when I was, just seeing what other people thought about that. There's a lot of people that were picking under on this.
Really?
Um, yeah, and and me personally, I'm thinking over is my pick. I do believe he's going to have a good season. I think with the talent around him and the new rookie and receiver, I think can go over. But when I looked at what people think, and they think they may try to lean into Bucky more this year, and they're thinking that that it's going to be tougher because the division has grown tougher. The
Yeah.
teams have got better, that they had this, so it's a tougher division this year. So some people think he's not going to get over that. But if you ask me personally, I do believe he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to get over. Easily see 4,000 yards.
Yeah, he has a
Um,
fully healthy wide receiver team. He's, you know, it's
And that's the thing. That's the thing with the Bucks, and I'm totally with Kevin. Baker Mayfield is definitely it reminds me of another old style quarterback. I mean, he does have a little bit of the mobility to him, but he's definitely loves the pocket quarterback, and he's very accurate. He's a very accurate quarterback, I would say. I think that's why the Bucks even drafted Emeka Egbuka, because that is their flaw, is that they're injury prone. All their wide receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin's, they're always hurt. They're missing games, so I feel like that could affect them. So I think that was one of the reasons why they brought in Emeka Egbuka. And even the other guy, Tez Johnson, just so they had more depth there. So if someone got hurt, they had more players to be able to go in there. But Baker just be slinging it, dude. He had 570 passing attempts last year. That was the fifth most in the league, which I feel like fifth most, 570, fifth most is kind of crazy. But Bucks are going to sling the ball. Doesn't matter if they have Bucky Irvin or not. They're going to be throwing the ball all season long. So I think this is a clear over because he's gotten 4,000 yards, even without Chris Godwin on half the seasons on both of those.
Yeah.
I think I agree with Kevin. I think this is kind of like an easy over for me.
Yeah.
One thing to have in mind before you go, Jarrell, one thing to have in mind I forgot to say is they actually did lose Tristan Wirfs, though. We got to remember that. He is a huge difference maker because he is definitely their best O-lineman.
But he's tough, though. You've seen how he stiff-armed Nick Bosa, He doesn't go down easily.
I thought you were talking about Wirfs.
One stiff arm out of all these seasons. The Bucks fans can't stop talking about it.
He doesn't go down easy.
That's crazy. I mean,
Bucks fans will
agree
hold
with
on to that forever.
Just like Eagles fans hold on to the Super Bowl and blah blah blah. Just rage bait. So, anyways, I totally agree. I think he'll go over. The only thing that I do agree with Shane, I think they got a new offensive coach this year, offensive coordinator, so they could flip and go more run heavy. But with Mike Evans and all the receivers that he has, I don't see him not being able to go over. Because I think this is his contract year too, isn't it? Isn't his contract?
No, I thought they just paid him.
Did they pay him? Okay, I totally missed that then.
No, I think they didn't pay him. What I saw him being interviewed, they restructured his guaranteed money.
Yes.
But they haven't extended him yet. He hasn't had the extension, so they still want that. Yeah, I think they want to do it, but they just made sure he had some more money right now.
They're probably not going to extend him unless he gets maybe at least 2 stiff arms this season. So hopefully,
it's in the contract. He has that too.
Yes.
The more stiff arms, the more money he'll get.
We'll
He'll be stiff arm everybody. He'll be like the dude from The Longest Yard, running around just stiff arming everybody.
That's crazy. All right, we will go ahead and move on from quarterbacks. We were going to go ahead and move on to running backs. Now, it's supposed to be my turn, but me and Jarrell actually swapped. I'm going to do 2 wide receivers today. He's going to be doing 2 running backs today. So, Jarrell, if you want to go ahead and kick off running backs for us, pick one of the ones that you have chosen and roll with that one first.
Yes, sir. I think I'm going to go with, obviously, easy choice, man. I'm going with Ashton Gentry for the over-under of 7.5 touchdowns. I think that's so easy of a pick. Over, don't even need to think about it.
No, that's a really low line. I agree with you.
Yeah, especially for Ashton Gentry. I do feel like there is some flaws to this, though. I do feel like there is some cons. For example, the Raiders was the fifth least amount of rushing touchdowns last season. They only had 10 between so many guys. I think the player that had the most was Alexander Madison with 6. But that's Alexander Madison. I'm not trying to compare Alexander Madison to Ashton Gentry here. Gentry, not Gentry, Jarrell. They also do have Raheem
Tomato,
Mostert.
tomato.
They also do have Raheem Mostert, who I feel like is a touchdown stealer. Do you guys remember him when a couple years back when Devon Achane was clearly having a better season, but Mostert had like 20-something touchdowns in the season? He once they get to the goal line, I feel like they should keep Gentry in, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mostert sees a little bit of goal line work.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
listen,
think
the
I was going to
only-
say that
Go ahead.
that's my reflection on this is he's obviously got the talent, and it really comes down to how do they use him. And if he's the goal line running back, this is easy, but if he's not the goal line and they use Mostert or somebody else there, or they have another, then it could struggle, to get the 8 that he needs. So I think it really depends how they use him, and if he's a goal line back, it's a done deal.
Jarrell, you wanted to defend that?
Oh, no, man. I was going to say there's only one, you can cut this part out if you want, but there's only one touchdown stealer I know, and his name is Jalen Hurts, and you can just ask Saquon Barkley all about that all season, stealing the touchdowns from the man with the touch push. But anyways, back on subject.
We haven't named a single
really?
Eagles player, and I feel like we've talked about the Eagles the most so far.
I know, right?
Is it the flag? Do I gotta pull the flag down?
It's the dude. It's so like it attracts us. But no, yeah, I think even if he gets 8 touches over the season down in the red zone, he's got it because he's powerful, and I don't see them stopping him. I see him being able to get in the end zone easy at least 8 times over the season.
Yeah, it really just depends how good the Raiders are too. If they struggle getting down to the red zone and stuff like that, then his numbers could suffer. If they can get down there, he's definitely talented.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. I was sounding like a robot. Had to go ahead and fix that up. We're going to be moving on from Ashton Gentry. We're going to go ahead and kick it off now. Back to Shane.
All right. When I take a look at the running backs, the one that I wanted to look at was Devon Achane. He has an over-under for 900 yards. And, you can look at it a couple ways on this. I could see why they may say the under pick because, of injuries and things like that. I do believe he's going to have a good season. I lean toward the over on this. I do believe he's going to have, I think, he surprised a lot of people last year with like a top 5, running back stats. So I do believe, they have improved the line this year. I think they are healthy at the moment. If he stays healthy, that's the key to it. I think he's going to be an over on this easily. But it does go with a lot of these. It's the durability. Does he stay healthy? That's really the key. So I can understand people talking about it. But my pick for this is an over. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I like to look at the fact that there's no competition for Devon Achane. If you look at it, Jalen Wright, who was a rookie last season, did horrible. Was supposed to be just like Devon Achane, and again, he was a rookie, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He needs time to develop. And then right behind him, they have Alexander Madison, who we talked about earlier, who had only had 6 rushing touchdowns. I don't know his yards, but I'm sure it wasn't that great either because he was on the Raiders. Same thing here. I think they rely a lot on Devon Achane, especially when Tua went down. They were using him a lot, maybe more in the pass game, which kind of worries me a little bit because he is a receiving back, so he's going to get a lot of work back there. I think that's kind of why they also brought in Ollie Gordon in the draft, rookie, because he's a bigger back. So I can see him getting some goal line work if he's in there. I don't know if they will or not, but that might be a Madison role, but very well he could be getting some goal line work, which wouldn't really matter too much on the yards though. And then kind of one of the crappier teams right now. Sorry, Shane, because I know you're a Dolphins fan, but they definitely have been struggling, no matter if it's injuries or not. And I feel like the division is kind of given to the Bills, so that does hurt. And I feel like they will be fighting for that division, basically second spot, a wild card spot all year, where they might be needing to pass the ball. I didn't really look at their schedule, so I don't know what the strength is, but I do feel like the Dolphins are a pass heavy team.
Yeah, I do agree with you there.
You go first, Kevin. My bad, buddy.
I don't know. I don't know if I would take the over or under on this. Okay. I'd probably take the over, but I don't know.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna do the under. And the reason why I'm going to do the under is because I feel that the Dolphins are going to be kind of essentially like pushed into trying to pass the ball more just because of the failure that they had in doing that last season. It seemed they were consistently throwing to the tight end. They're consistently doing checkdowns. Like you mentioned, the amount of receptions that he had, like he had 78 receptions last season compared to his first season of only 27. So that's a huge increase. Yes, he increased his yards. He got over the 900 last season at 907. But I think they're going to be almost forced to try to get the ball down the field more to Hill and Waddle since they did have such a terrible, struggling issue with getting the ball to them, second part of the season last year. So I think that's going to take away from him because they're going to be almost kind of pushed in that direction, in my opinion, to try to get them the ball more than running it.
Yeah, I think, just to jump in there a little bit, I know, it's a wait and see with the Dolphins. Obviously, they got to prove themselves. Um, Being a Dolphin fan and paying attention what's going on with the team, I think they're in a lot better place this year. Their schedule is actually fairly favorable. They have the 21st ranked schedule, so there's 20 teams harder schedules above them. So it's not really a bad schedule. They do play obviously a tough division, with the Bills and stuff like that. But they did, like I said earlier, they have improved their offensive line. They're healthy right now in their offense players, the receivers, running backs. Tua's looked really good in training camp right now. And I think a lot of these teams, it really depends how teams look in training camp. And he's been looking really good. And Hill's been looking good. He's sort of, after last year, he's sort of woke up, from his statements at the end of the season, and he's trying to prove it. I think the Dolphins are going to surprise people if they stay healthy. That's the key. Now, I know we have some, fear on the cornerbacks. They've already signed a few guys this week that I think are going to help with that. And their front line right now is looking dominating. So I think, not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl or something like that, but I do believe they're going to have enough offense to put him over on this stat this year. But we'll see.
Shane's doing a Dolphins promo.
He's getting paid for this. I will say, I don't know if this is a crazy take or not, but I do feel that Devon Achane is the best offensive weapon on the Dolphins. I think he's better than Tyreek at the moment, especially last year. I know Tyreek is a little banged up, but if I had to pick one guy from the team, and if I get to pick one player from each offense, I'd probably pick Devon Achane. I do think he is their best player. Even in the rookie season, I know he wasn't there, but he only played 11 games that year, and he had 800 rushing yards. That's a crap load for only playing 11 games. That's 6 games more that he needed. Now, again, that's going back to him. He needing to stay healthy and the Dolphins not relying on him too much. Because we're not just, when we say not relying on him, we don't just mean rushing attempts. We also mean the receiving game. Whenever he's getting receiving work, he's going to get banged up more. And I feel like the entire game plan that the Dolphins should be doing is to protect Tua. So we might see a lot of dump passes. We could see a lot of rushing attempts. I'm expecting to see a lot of positions where they put themselves where Tyreek was going to get the ball in, the short and the flats area, or just slinging it. But again, they're going to need someone back there blocking. And is Devon Achane really the best pass blocker?
He's a smaller guy, yeah. So
I thought Zach Wilson was your favorite player.
Yeah. If I was a mom, single or not, I was going to say single mom, but it doesn't matter.
I was going to say.
All right, we will go ahead and move on from Devon Achane. That was a good one. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up with – well, actually not wrap it up. We got 2 more. I apologize. Go ahead, Kevin.
All right. I also saw this line. It was kind of low. Christian McCaffrey for 950 yards. Fully healthy. Last year he played 4 games, and he had 202 yards in 4 games. That's really good for 4 games. I think they're going to rely on him this year. 950 yards is crazy low for him, especially after he his prime season.
Yeah, but he's not in his prime season anymore, buddy.
Yeah, but we didn't see enough from him last year. This year he's going to be fully healthy. That's really low for a fully healthy Christian McCaffrey.
He does look healthy at the moment. I have seen some good training camp videos on him. He doesn't seem to be That's the good sign with CMC because that's the only scares I have. I love CMC. He's a great player. He's gonna produce if he's on the field, but he has to stay on the field. That is the main thing. And he looks good right now in training camp. I'm just a little worried that they're gonna be relying on him way too much. Because if we look at the 49ers, CMC might be fine, but the rest of them are banged up. Trent Williams is looking old. He's struggling against Nick Bosa. All their wide receivers are hurt. We got Juwan Jennings, who just actually got hurt. Ricky Pearsall. Brandon Ayuk might not even play week 1. So realistically, right now it looks to me as if it's George Kittle and CMC. That's kind of what it seems like it's going to be most of the season for them. However, they do have the easiest schedule, so it might not be too much of a big deal. They might be able to sub in other guys if they get up. But will they be one of those teams that can stay up above these? Because last year they struggled, injuries or not. They're still banged up. They're not healthy yet.
Yeah, they do have an easy schedule, though.
Yeah, I think it's easy to see that he's going to get the work. He's going to get the volume to do this. And if he stays healthy, I think it's a lock for the over. Because the team's gone. I think Zach's right. They're going to have to feed him the ball. Shanahan's going to use him. Purdy's more of an efficiency type quarterback. He's going to get the volume. He's going to get the work. It's just, can he stay healthy because of that? And I think that's the concern Zach just said. They're going to feed him so much. Is he going to stay healthy or get hurt? And but if he does stay healthy, he looks good in training camp. He looks really good right now, and I think they're excited, but the team itself is beat up. So who knows?
Yeah, and I've seen even a lot of comments of people saying, oh, they're not going to give him the ball that much. He's not going to get, workload. I feel like people forget that the 49ers are exiting their Super Bowl prime. You know what I mean? This is their Super Bowl era. They need to win in the next, 2 years of what they got because they're starting to fall apart here. And with that being said, they're going to give the ball to CMC. That is their best player, 100%, hands down. They are going to feed him the ball. Pass game, rush game, it doesn't matter. He is going to get the workload, even if they feel like he's hurt or not.
He might be a sneaky fantasy pick, too. I know a lot of people aren't going to pick him
He's
first
falling
round.
a little bit.
Yeah, he might be sneaky. Nice.
Yeah, I think he's not going to be one of the picks he used to be, so you may get a good value pick on him.
100%. All right, we will go on to the next one here, to the last running back. Darrell, go ahead and end the running backs for us.
All right. So my second running back I picked was Chuba Hubbard. Did I say that one correctly, Boris?
Chuba.
Chuba. So I guess, that would be Chuba Hubbard, man. Whatever. So anyways, his over-under, I picked for the 950 and a half yards this season. I do believe that he will end up going over that. He almost had 1,200 yards last season. Yeah, the Panthers aren't that good, but I feel like they improved. I feel like they got better this offseason. I think they're more well-rounded. So I think he's going to have his chances. And, once again, I feel like we say with everybody, as long as they stay healthy, I think he'll blow past this number this season.
Yeah, obviously his last season was his best season. But that was the most rushing attempts he's had in a career. And clearly the Panthers rely on him, especially with Bryce Young. He's in his third year now, right? Bryce Young. He's still struggling somewhat, and he's still trying to develop. I feel like this is kind of Bryce Young's make or break year, but they're going to want to rely on their run game to be able to help him out. They need a good run game to get the pass game going, and that's why they're trying to get the receivers. And right behind him, he has no competition. They signed Rico Dowdle. They gave him a bag of chips. They gave him the least amount of money they had to give him. So I really do think that Chuba Hubbard is in for another workload kind of season, and I do agree with Jarrell. I think that for me, this is an over. I would bet on this. I think this is an over.
Yeah. Panthers,
especially with the easy schedule
this year too. But I think Bryce Young is going to have a better season this year. I think this is going to be his best season yet. He had a pretty good season. The latter, the second part of the season, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was like that.
Then that makes it better for Hubbard. And if Hubbard does better, it makes it better for him. So it plays off each other. So
yeah, I think that's the key right there. The Panthers' offense is really the major question right now. And I think there's enough talent there. Bryce Young has the ability to really do good. And I think people sort of expect him to this year. But it is an offense that I don't think is known right now. But I think just to go back to Hubbard there, if he gets 200 plus touches, he'll make it. It'll work. So that's really the key. Do they get him the ball? He will have the opportunity. Will they be able to move the ball and not do 4 and out? Things like that. And Bryce Young does what he's hope to do. Expected maybe this year. Then I think definitely the over is very possible.
Yeah, and I do think he will get those rushing attempts because even last year, the Panthers had the worst defense. Maybe even all time. I know they were down there. They were getting there where they were having one of the worst defenses of all time, and they were still giving Chuba Hubbard the ball. That means they'll be down like 3-4 touchdowns, and they're still handing off the ball. Meaning, there's no way that the Panthers were going to be as bad as defensively wise as they were last year. Meaning that the game should be a little bit closer, especially with an easier schedule this season. I think that Chuba Hubbard will see 200, probably 250 attempts again, and I think he's going to break this line. I won't be surprised if he gets to more like the 1,300.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, we're good on that one? All right. That's going to be it for running backs. We will be moving on to the last position. 4 more here. We're going to be moving on to wide receivers. I will go ahead and kick off the first one since I actually have 2, and then I will do the last one. My first one here that I got, let me scroll up. I got Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton is not only one of my favorite players for betting-wise, he's one of my favorite players for fantasy football too. I'm in on him. He's easily Bo Nix's favorite target. I actually have a crazy stat for you guys here. Courtland Sutton led the team with 135 targets, which should have been known. That's what everyone would expect. Guess who had the second most targets on the team? Just guess any player.
Bo Nix.
The quarterback? The running back, Javonte Williams, was the next most targeted player with 70. So in my mind, Bo Nix's strategy in the offense is either get the ball to Courtland Sutton or check it down to Javonte Williams. The next most targeted wide receiver on that team was Devon Bailey. Devon Bailey, I think his name is, with 55. That means if you would double Bailey's targets, he would still not have more than Courtland Sutton last year, meaning that he is easily Bo Nix's favorite target, and that's probably why they paid the man. They gave him the money because they know that. They've extended him for 2029. That was the only worrisome I had for him besides injury was will he be here, after next year, if we're talking about dynasty or betting. So will they be trying to give him the ball? And they just paid him, so he's going to stay the wide receiver 1. Bo Nix looks good. I think he's going to go ahead and he's going to exceed 875 yards, which is low, by the way.
Is it low though? Because I was looking at his stats, and it's only the second time this season was only the second time in his career that he's gone over that number.
All right.
I know he was the favorite for Bo Nix, and yes, that may continue. But if you can figure that stat out, that doesn't mean that NFL coaches are going to figure out that this dude is his favorite target and lock him down.
But think about his quarterbacks after Peyton Manning. Because I don't think he ever played with Peyton Manning. But think, Jarrell, you yourself, name some quarterbacks after Peyton Manning besides Russell Wilson.
Oh, man, I don't know any of them.
Exactly, dude. They're not. You can't even remember because that's how bad they were. He's had some bad quarterback play his entire career. And now he finally gets a one that actually is giving him the ball. And he was throwing some dots. If you ever watch any games, dude, he was getting hella targets, especially in that second half of the year. I know with that even being said, I think there was one game where he didn't even have any receptions, and he still beat this line well over last season. I don't know. I'm really in on Courtland Sutton's betting-wise. I would easily take this line. I would smash this line. And I think I'm really in on him on fantasy football, too. I think he's gonna be a surprise wide receiver. He's going to be up there. I think he's going to be a wide receiver 1 for sure.
Thank you.
You glazing.
That way I know to take him from you.
I am. I am glazing.
I'm going to draft him
glazing.
before you do now.
Yeah,
the only con... Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I was saying I like Sutton. I think he's fun to watch, when he plays. I do think that it's definitely achievable to get that. I think the key with him, like a lot of these players, he has a tendency to have nagging injuries. Last year, his numbers were where they're at because he played 13 games, so he missed some. And he has a habit of doing that, So I think if he's healthy most of the season, he's 1,000-yard receiver. He has that talent. And with Bo Nix and stuff, is going to lean toward him, even though the offense does, they do like to run. They want to be a running team in a lot of ways. But I think Sutton has the full ability to do it. But the only thing is, and I hate saying this all the time, is he has to stay healthy. That's really the key for him. If he stays healthy,
Right.
This is an easy over.
But like you said, we could say that for anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all
Everyone
of
has
them.
to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Anyone can get hurt. You could be the most consistent player in the league, and you get hurt one year, and that's going to tank your season. To rebuttal what Jarrell was saying earlier about the inconsistency of his seasons, I do have written down here that he does only have it twice, but both of those seasons he had 110 plus targets. And in those seasons, when he gets 70 catches, it seems that he breaks this line. And if he had 135 last year, I do see him exceeding that again. He only has to exceed 110 technically if we're looking at the math. I think that he will. I think he will go well over 110 targets. I think he will go well over 70 catches, and I think he actually will get 1,000 yards this year. I think that's what he'll do. So I think he'll beat this line a well amount.
You know, man, real quick to rebuttal on that, I know he wasn't a QB that played with Courtland Sutton, but like I don't know how I forgot my boy Tim Tebow, best quarterback ever in the NFL. The man got washed out too early, but I don't know how I could remember he played for Denver. Totally went out my brain.
Was that after Manning? Was that after Manning? That was after.
No, he played. I think he played like back in 2010. I want to say it was.
Yeah, it was a while back.
Yeah, it was a longer time ago than I thought. That's why I didn't even think about him because like you said, Courtland Sutton, and then I was sitting here, I was like, "Fuck, man, Tim Tebow." They just didn't.
But even that was before. So
I'm gonna do a video on Tebow, and I'm gonna show you some of the dots that man threw for the Broncos. It's coming soon.
Old head alert.
I think he was a better Gator than he'll ever be a Bronco, buddy.
You know what? I think he took him to the playoffs. I think he won a playoff game.
Did he?
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. I don't remember Tebow having like any success at all in the NFL. Like, I know he had some good games, maybe, but not as far as where he'd win a playoff game.
Let me see. Tim Tebow.
Oh man.
Yeah, we can move on. I'm just gonna look up for myself.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to Courtland Sutton. Obviously, I'm glazing. I'm a lover on Courtland Sutton. Shane, go ahead and give us our next wide receiver.
All right. We're going to move over to Zay Flowers for the Ravens on there. And he has an over-under of 900 yards. Honestly, I think this is an easy over on this one. I think Zay Flowers is probably going to have a record season for him. I think he's set up to be Lamar's go-to guy. He has been really. So I think he's just too dynamic. He has too much capabilities, and with Lamar loving him, I think the chemistry I've seen there, I think he's easily 1,000-yard receiver this year, and I would love him in fantasy football. I think he's going to be a benefit for many teams that are looking forward to somebody sustained, and he's young, so I don't think he's really showing any kind of health issues yet that you have to worry about. So I think it's an easy over, in my opinion.
I will agree with you, Shane. I'll agree with you. I'm loving this segment. I'm finding who everybody's taking for fantasy. I'm just going to scoop them up before you guys, man. No, I totally agree. Chemistry is awesome there between the two. He had a great season last year, went over the 1,000-yard mark. I think this is a little low for him. Even though Lamar can get a little bit of sketchy sometimes and he pulls and runs, I do feel as of last season he turned more into the pocket presence quarterback and was passing the ball a lot more. Derrick Henry's getting older, even though he's still a beast. So I agree with you. I would bet the over.
Yeah, Zay Flowers to me has a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth because last season I was so high on him in fantasy and he didn't really deliver. He was like okay, but he wasn't to what I thought he was going to be. I was expecting at least a wide receiver 2 standpoint, maybe even wide receiver 1 type of points. So that kind of let me down because I was taking him almost in any draft that I could, and he didn't deliver. I had him on benches a lot of weeks. But for sports betting wise, 900 is pretty low, especially when your quarterback's Lamar Jackson coming off of 4,000 passing yards. And you're clearly the wide receiver 1, as you have the most targets here as well with 116. Next best would be Bateman with 72. He only missed 1 game both seasons. So if we're talking about injury consistently wise, he's only missed 1 game out of both seasons. So he's on the field. He has the quarterback with Lamar Jackson. He's his favorite target. This is a clear over for me as well. Kevin, anything you want to say about Zay Flowers?
Yeah. No. I didn't really watch too many Ravens games. I only watched like the first couple ones, and he was pretty good in the first couple ones. So, I mean, yeah. I guess over. I'll agree with you guys. I guess you guys no more than me about him.
I think I'm just so big on him, especially when for fantasy last year, because I love watching the dude. Like he's a
Yeah.
fun player to watch. He's just one
Yeah.
of those players that I like to watch. All right, we are going to go ahead and move on to our second to last pick here. And this one, actually, I'm very excited for. I'm actually very glad someone picked this other one. Kevin, go ahead and say who you got.
Xavier Worthy, but I kind of got shafted here. I just seen today, just looking at his up right now, he's on concussion protocol as of
Ooh, I didn't see
today.
that.
He got concussed today in practice, or in training camp. So it is kind of bad for me. I was gonna take the over. Now I might take the under. I was gonna originally say the over because he's probably gonna be wide receiver one versus like the latter season because Rasheed Rice has like legal problems and Marquise Brown is just injured all the time, so he's probably gonna be a target. And freaking Travis Kelce is an old man, so he's probably gonna get targeted by Patrick Mahomes there a lot. But now that I read this, it might be a little iffy there. He might be going under here.
I wouldn't look too
Yeah,
deep into a concussion. I think it's pretty early on for him to come back be okay. I think, how long do we have? To like a month and a half, I would say.
Yeah.
And how long does a concussion usually take a hill? Probably about a month. I would say like to be fully safe or whatever. Realistically, I think it takes like 2 weeks, but to be like fully safe, I think it's like you gotta miss like 4 games, which would be a month. So especially with the Tua incident, I don't think they're trying to even chance that anymore. I think you should stick with your over, Kevin. I really like this pick. Again, he is Jarrell. Start writing your notes. He is another fantasy player that I really, really love. I love Xavier Worthy this season. And especially with Rasheed Rice's being on probation, he's definitely going to get suspended, 100%. Like, he's going to, 4 games minimum, I would say, maybe 3. And even when he does come back, it's going to take a while for him. He's still off of whatever he tore in his leg, ACL, MCL, whatever he tore. That's still a hard injury to come back from.
Yeah.
So I think Xavier Worthy, when Rasheed Rice last season was taking all the targets, was mostly because Xavier Worthy was a rookie. In the latter half of last year, he was getting the most targets out of anybody. He did finish out the season with the second most, but to Travis Kelce. And let's be honest, Travis Kelce is definitely going to see a decrease in role. So I think that Xavier Worthy is slated to be Patrick Mahomes' wide receiver 1. And Patrick Mahomes, what does he specialize in? The deep ball. I know he hasn't the last few years, but that's because he hasn't had anyone. He has McCole Hardman he's trying to throw the ball to, who's dropping it every single game.
Yeah.
Even when they versus the Eagles a few years back, I remember that he threw a dime to, I think it was Hardman. I want to say it was McCole Hardman, and he dropped it. We would have lost. Eagles would have lost that game. With that being said, Xavier Worthy didn't really show that much where he was dropping balls or, failing. So I think that this is a great pick, and I definitely am going to – I think this is another player that's going to go over 1,000 yards this season.
He might be their next Tyreek Hill.
He's the new and improved Tyreek Hill.
Oh, the new and improved is crazy.
He might be.
Wow, he holds the record at the combine for what? He had a 4.21 in the dash. The only thing holding against him, which I think is kind of like Tyreek Hill, is he's short. I mean, dude's only 5'11".
A little skinny too.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the deep ball, as long as you're beating your defender, it doesn't matter. But if you're going for like a jump ball, he might not be able to jump as high as the defender. So that's the only concern there. But I just quick for me, short and sweet, over.
Yeah, I would say the only con, if we want to look at consistency, he's only played 1 season, so we can't look at the rest of his year. He did only have 638 yards last season, so that is pretty low compared to 900. If we're looking at from last season to this, that's a major jump in the line. But I think, like I said, I think he is slated to be the wide receiver 1. He has so much upside, even with a hard schedule. The team's going to have to be throwing the ball. The defense will be carrying. I don't know. I think that this is easy over for me.
And they're coming off that embarrassment in the Super Bowl, so they're going to be coming out to prove a point.
Exactly.
You're right.
Fire in their system.
I'm sort of going with Kevin on this a little bit here. If he's healthy, I think he's blowing this away easily. I think him and Mahomes would click this year. He probably would be obviously maybe even the favorite target right there. But it did scare me. Training camp, changes a lot, with these things, and being in concussion protocol and missing possibly a lot of time in this beginning part could affect that. In concussions, we've seen that with a lot of the players. they fall back and hit their head, and then it's easy to, they're going to be watchful for it. So it does scare me for the pick. Being that if that news didn't come out, because I know Marquise Brown got hurt too. I mean, they're like both, they're probably scared. They got two receivers there that got hurt on training camp that got, taken out. So yes, I'm a little worried on the over with not knowing what his condition is and how much time he's going. If he bounces back and he doesn't have any issues, he's blowing this away. You ask me again in 2 weeks or something, he's out there playing in training camp. But if it's one of those things that extend out, he doesn't really get a lot of preseason play, and then he jumps in. I'm a little worried, if he's going to stay healthy, because he's already had some health issues, But he's definitely talent wise. If we didn't hear that news, I would say over easily.
True. Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
100%. I agree. All right. We're done with that one. No more on Xavier Worthy, the GOAT of the season. All right, we'll move on to the next wide receiver. This is the last wide receiver, the last player we got for today. I have listed down Jakobi Meyers for over or under 800.5 yards. Jarrell, you've been loving the consistency tonight, talking about that all throughout the night. Look at this one. Jakobi Meyers in his last 4 seasons has broke this line, 805, with bum quarterbacks. Now, coming in for the Raiders is Geno Smith. And have in mind, Geno Smith had just passed for the 5th most in targets. He had the 5th most passing attempts with 578. 578 passing attempts. With Pete Carroll, who has been on his team before with the Seahawks. I do see them replicating that a lot. With Jakobi Meyers also stating, JSN, Tyler Lockett, when Geno Smith was on the Seahawks, both slot receivers, both most targeted on the team. Guess where Jakobi Meyers plays on the field?
Slot.
In the slot, exactly. So I think that he is going to be the wide receiver 1 on this team, besides Brock Bowers. But even with Brock Bowers, let me look here. Even with Brock Bowers there, he still had 129 targets last season with Aiden O'Connell, and I forgot who the other guy was, with the mixture of the 2 quarterbacks. So I think that this line is strictly because it's very low that I'm taking it. 805 is pretty low for Jakobi Meyers and how consistent he has been, especially with an upgrade in a quarterback. I think that 805 is pretty easy for him to get. What do we think about that?
I'm with you, man. Definitely, like you said, consistency-wise, Geno Smith, I'm big on Geno Smith, man. He came in and did his thing in Seattle and proved a lot of people wrong. Even though a lot of people, I feel like, still hate on him. But I think that he's going to go in there, and you got to think he's doing that consistently with his yards when he's going still with, like, he had Hunter Renfrow there. He had Devontae Adams there. So he had other good wide receivers that he was competing with, and he was still able to hit his mark. And then now you said he's got a QB upgrade. I would definitely take the over on this one easy. I think I would take that as my favorite bet all night. And it's your bet.
All right, Shane, Kevin, anything you got to say about Jakobi Meyers?
I agree. He's young too. He's not young, but he's not the oldest player. Like he
still has
he
some
is
left
consistent.
In the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he's probably, I would go with the over on that, but I can understand why people are worried about it. I mean, it's a new offense, this year they got a new offensive coordinator. So, that coach is pretty much known for, the run game and focusing on and he has pretty much a low volume passing attack. And Brock Bowers is going to take, some of the, but I think he's shown it last year. I think he's, to me, I think it is an easy one. I would pick the over, I can see the fear of some of this stuff, but I don't know if it's enough to, it's only 800 yards,
Yeah.
As long as you don't give him a big contract and let him go buy a fancy fast car, good.
Give him a minivan or something.
Exactly. That should be like a requirement for all wide receivers coming into the league. You don't get a fast car for your first 5 seasons, buddy. You got a minivan or a little Volkswagen Beetle.
Especially if you're a Raider.
Yes.
I feel like it's kind of interesting how many players on the Raiders were actually in on this year. Jakobi Meyers, Ashton Jeanty, Geno Smith, Brock Bowers, even the rookie Jack Betch. I like him too. I feel like there's a lot of star players, surprisingly, on the Raiders where they might even get a couple upsets in their division. Like, I can see them beating the Broncos, Chargers, or the Chiefs at least once. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're going to get completely swept out this year by their division.
I think they just
Now,
got a hard division, though. That's what,
that is
hindering them.
true. Not enough to make them a winning team, but I think enough for sports betting and fantasy football. I think that there's a lot of stars on there that can do pretty decent for you guys, for anybody.
Make it interesting for sure.
You know, I sort of think when I look at this over and under on this one, I think it almost felt like they thought Devontae Adams still played for the Raiders or something. You know what I mean? That if he still played, I could understand this. You know, okay, yeah, he's going to be the number one, but he's not there. He's on the Rams now. You know, so he's going to get the load that Devontae Adams had on there. So it's, yeah, I'm sort of surprised they have left that low. You know, when I look at it, it's just like,
especially with Geno Smith as your quarterback. Like, he is a gunslinger, and that's like his only problem. To go back what Jarrell was saying on why he gets hate, it's his turnovers. He throws interceptions. I mean, he had the one good season where he had like 4, but other than that, he's always in double digits. So that just means that he's just throwing the football, meaning there is going to be targets for Jacoby Myers. And if you're worried about Brock Bowers or even the rookie coming in, the last 2 years, Geno supported over 100 targets to 2 different wide receivers. Last year it was JSN and DK, and I think the year before that it was Tyler Lockett and DK. And all 4 times they have gone over this line. So I don't know. I think that this line is too low for somebody with a good quarterback and someone that's obviously going to be the wide receiver 1 on this team. Jack Betch coming in or not, he's still a rookie. He's going to take a few games to get in there. So this is a smash over for me.
Yeah, simply he's going to get fed. It's just going to happen. He's going to get it.
All right. That will end for all of our picks for tonight. Now to move on to the couch coverage parlay. We're all going to be picking our favorite out of our own picks, and we are going to combine them, and I'm going to go ahead and throw $50 on it. We're going to go ahead and see if we hit this. You know what, Jarrell? We'll let you start. Which one out of your 3 is your favorite?
My favorite pick probably easily has to be Ashton Genty for over touchdowns. While we were talking, I looked at the depth chart to see who they did have listed as running back 1. He is listed as running back 1, so I feel like they're not only I'm going to have to worry about him waiting to get down to the goal line or third down back. He's going to be in there a majority of the game. He's going to be running. He's going to be mowing people over. He's got Geno to dump down to him. We're just talking about how we're impressed by the team. That's the easy pick for me and my favorite.
All right. Okay, that's going to be leg 1 of the 4-leg parlay. Kevin, give us leg 2.
I think the easiest one here is Baker Mayfield. I feel like still like too low. I mean, you guys could disagree with me, but I feel like that's insanely low for him. He had like 2 really good seasons. He can't go over 400. Not even 400. 380. That's insane.
380 he can get 1 game. I think you meant 3,000.
I mean, 3,000.
850. 805. Yeah, I like that one, Kevin. That's a good one. Yeah. I think that he is slated to go over there. I think there's a little bit of wiggle room. It is a high line. Like, that is a pretty large line. If you look at the other quarterbacks, he is definitely one of the ones up there. But he's slinging the ball. He's throwing the football. So it's bound to happen. All right, Shane, give us our 3rd leg.
When I was looking at my 3 guys, you know, I wouldn't put Cam Ward as the guarantee there, you know, either way. I really did want to pick my Dolphin running back, you know, as HN. I think we'll do it. But to be honest, Zay Flowers is the easy over on this one. I think with Lamar just targeting him and his abilities, if I have to put a bet down, I'm going to go with Zay Flowers. It's an easy over.
Yeah, that's definitely a good pick. Out of your 3, I probably agree. That's probably who I would pick too. That would probably be my favorite. All right,
I don't want you to lose $50 too. So you know.
I appreciate it. Yeah, because Devon Achane, you know, he might rip his leg apart second game, and then now I'm screwed.
Yeah.
All right, so for the last leg in this lay, I was jumping back and forth, honestly, between the receivers, just because I feel like yards are a little bit easier than touchdowns, so I think I'm willing to risk that more. I think Jarrell made my decision for me. Since he picked Ashton Genty and he went with the Raider, I don't want to put 2 Raiders on one parlay. I'm going to go ahead and Courtland Sutton because I believe in him. I'm going to stick with my word. I'm glazing. I don't care what anyone says. Courtland Sutton's one of my favorite players this season, and I think he's going to hit for 875 yards with how much attempts he's about to get this season.
Oh, you're just a Broncos fan, bro. Take the Eagles.
I might be.
Off.
I might be like a side Broncos fan. All right. Well, that looks like that's going to do it. So we got Jarrell with Ashton Genty, 7.5 for the over. We got Kevin with Baker Mayfield, 3,805.5 over for passing yards. We got Shane with Zay Flowers with a low 905 receiving yards. And then I also went with the receiver, Courtland Sutton, with 875.5. I'll go ahead and put it on the screen, what it will look like, and, what's the amount, what the $50 will make you. But I think that's going to wrap it up. Does anyone have any comments or anything they want to mention before we go here?
No, I'm good. Good luck. Good luck to us.
We about to win big. Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, well, make sure you guys. Wait, what?
I was like, Zach's like, it's my money.
Yeah, we better win big.
No, I think you should say, like, we all toss in $10. There's 5 of us. $50 bet, $10 each. Bam.
We could do that. Yeah, you could definitely do that if that's what you guys want to do.
Yeah, I'm sending you.
Let's do 15.
Shane, did we kind of force you into this?
So it could be like,
I'm good with it. I was just thinking Bailey's going to go, hey, I didn't even pick anyone.
I know, right? He's like, I wasn't even there.
I was saying because Bailey isn't here, I don't think he's going to want to throw in $10,
He might not. That's all right. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for that video today. Don't forget to like and comment. Make sure you subscribe. Let us know what you guys think. Who had the best picks? Is this parlay that we have up here going to hit or not? All right. Peace, everybody.
Peace.
See ya.
Peace.